The discussion topic is establishing performance measurement baseline, PMB. So as part of the perfect project management and it is allied concern, PMB plays a major role. The moment you are entering into the project, there are a number of challenges we are going to face through. Those challenges, how we are meticulously conveying in terms of opportunity is very important. And here in this discussion, we are going to talk about the same thing. The right way of measuring the progress is very, very important as far as the cost control is purpose, the concern. Thing is, here there are plenty of way which we have in front of us to achieve this target, and through the PMB, that measurement baseline, how we are going to perform this, the best practices we are going to see here. From the chart preparation to scope definition and scope expansion, and then what we're basically doing, schedule development. Once the schedule is developed with the help of all the WBS, expansion of the activities listing and connecting in the right way, and then later we are going to allocate the budget. So the budget has to be as per our original cost breakdown structure. How much of maximum unit we are breaking down, and then the same budget can be allied, and this can be included in the schedule, primavera schedule, whatever may be, so that we are in well concerned. I mean, we are very confident about how much what type of spending we are going to do, how we are going to spend, and how the maximum breakdown we have taken, which will help us to move around. This is what the PMB study is all about, and let us go in further. An effective utilization of earned value management is fully depending on how you are baseline. Here, the baseline means scope, cost, and schedule, ultimately creating the performance measurement baseline. For example, if your baseline is correctly fixed, and therefore the distribution of the progress measurement can be made, and accordingly the earned value technique can be applied. So this is going to help us to measure the actual performance, and it is right way of tracking the progress. So PMB reference point against which project performance is continuously evaluated throughout the project life cycles. Here, this is a continual process. Basically, when we start with and once we fix the baseline, then we have to start doing update also. When we're doing updates, there are so many parameters we have to consider. What type of activities has been completed, so how many percentage it has been completed, and what are the inputs required to evaluate these things and all. There are a lot of groundwork we have to do in parallel to the controlling the progress. As if this is a very continual and required to be improved, I mean, continually improvemental also. Implementing PMB here defined with 5 steps. Let us start with the project definition, project scope definition, which is ultimately we are collecting a lot of information about the project, going through the detailed study of the contract and what are the requirement, of course, objectives. Initially, we have prepared the project charter with very basic information, and at this stage, we are going to develop the project charter. So, once we have developed the project scope and it has been defined, then control accounts establishment come into the picture. The control accounts establishment is subjective, which is basically depends on the creation of the WBS and cost breakdown structure, work breakdown structures and cost breakdown structures. In such a way, we have to link what we have studied in the previous sessions also, how we are going to establish the control account manager and the control accounts team. So for example, this is also having a control account manager level and the control accounts and who are all reporting to the control accounts. So similarly, there is a group. This is a group of control account system is there. We have already studied about how we are going to develop, how and how, where and how it has to be followed. Per se, control accounts establishment is the measuring phenomenon to measure the, let's say, like a benchmark, and we are going to record the cost spending as well as the revenue part. So these are all going in parallel. In terms of revenue, how much we are receiving, and in terms of spending or expenditure, the cost part. So we have to link in such a way, and the respective assigned manager will be taken care of the further movement of the project. Now, next we are talking about a draft schedule as per the plan. Here, this is a very, very important area where schedule needs to be clearly and effectively drafted. For example, which level of activities you are going to make it. Here, there is an important factor comes in picture, what PMI recommendations and world of project management talks about, especially the project control areas. And the schedule development needs to be the duration of the activities especially, and it is synchronized with the right type of logics and linkages, and therefore we can move. The basic requirements is, once again I'm repeating here, the 8 hours to 8 hours rule. In principle, as per the project management institutions recommendations, 8 hours is a minimum and maximum of 80 hours. So some of the, if you W11 EPC type of contract, we cannot define in such a way where procurement part and all, it involves so many other aspects like, ordering material and manufacturing, and there are transport and so many things. So many factors involved. So that type of activities we cannot define with the limitation is not possible to apply, like 88 hours. So it is all depends on how we are going to establish further move. For what we are doing, budget and resource allocation. Budget and this is all depends on how many break evens. For example, how many levels we are going to take it further. So many times we have discussed about the break even and even penny counts. How much, what is a spending plan for a single penny or US dollars? It is matter. So that way, the line item at the higher level of budget item with the respective resource needs to be assigned to the respective activities. Not only the resource allocation includes manpower, material, and transport, so many things. So other, when and where required, we have to elaborate and we have to include the cost spending plans, and then we are going to watch through how the spending plan, what effectively it is working. So that's why budget and resource allocation is very important as far as the PMB is concerned. From step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4, and end up with the PMB formulation. This is a very important area where how we are going to form the PMP, exactly how we are going to plan for it. How the distribution is going to take in place, cost and resource and all. So that and all we'll read in detail. Then comes how are the resources are going to allocated, and the right way how we are going to integrate it with the WBS with the cost. So this is a big concern. Resources and their associated cost into the schedule. Let us go in detail how we are going to integrate very effectively and efficiently in the following slides. Creating the various level of WBS and keeping the WBS as a common ground. And we are further breaking down into the next level of detailed activity listing. And once it is all listed, then this needs to be properly linked through the relationships, finish to start, start to start, start to finish, and finish to finish. Those type of relationship we are going to introduce. So once it is all done with, and the whole predecessor success logic needs to be completely thoroughly checked. Once it is done with, then it is a very essential part to load with the resources. The individual activity level. For example, there are so many resources are required to complete that activity. If it is, for example, it is a 50 days duration means, or a 30 days duration. So what are the plans for that 30 days? Maybe we are furthermore, there is a groundwork we are going to do with the breaking down into more pieces. And that pieces we are going to work it on progress basis. Once it is done with, then it is aligned with the actual activity. So this is how the activity we are going to perform, schedule and going to perform. So once it is done with, then apparently this needs to be linked with our cost also. Like, each year the resource and its cost and all properly calculated, and then we have to include it in the Primavera budgetary portion. Then we can start with our PMB part. Example here shown in this picture, there is an activity sequence, and most of them are in critical activities while seeing this schedule. And the respective activities, if you come see the left side, which are the resources required, and it is already been loaded into the resource activity resourcing. There are different level of resources are shown here. Then it is once this process is done, now it is ready for the individual activities. Furthermore, we can go around. Especially we can see now the manpower histogram shown in the picture downside. Also the curve also shown, cumulative progress curve. So this is how this will be taken in. First, initially we are working the calculating so many things, and then we are directly incorporating into the Primavera. So this the pictorial representation comes from the Primavera only, where we can see the actual progress schedule, as well as what is the resource we have allocated for the different activities for the period of at the time also we have mentioned. So in our program, what we have made, as you know, we are approaching the building project, where the particular activity, architectural program and schematic plans, there are an engineering activity with a calculated manpower, and therefore we have calculated the cost also, which is for the architectural programming, it is comes around 52,500 AED. Also the schematic plans also the same figure. I mean, scope of the work is same, and therefore the same amount has been estimated for these activities. And now the distribution is here. For the period, the total period, for the 3 months period, it has been distributed. If you see the bar chart, it shows the 2.5 months exactly. So this all the activities, the resources are distributed. For example, for the month of first month together for these two activities is around 21K, and for the first month starting period maybe, and the value has been distributed in such a way. And in the mid of the mid of the activity, it is given 49K, and while completing this activity, we are ultimately distributed to 35K. There is some small, we can see some start and some small curve we can see. And when and where required, suppose the activity, maybe if you need some right estimation of the duration and therein required, we have to expand the activity duration and the distribution to be taken care accordingly. This is how the picture shows. Now, here, for example, the activities taken from the planning part. Architectural program is particularly for the month of February. We must have a address resource leveling to address the shortage of the if it is required. Our case is very clear now. This is total activity duration for the particular 2 activities with the 2.5 months. And there in February 2 months, almost 2.5 weeks. So our spending plan also distributed in such a way.